Hello, Damian. It's
Hey.
a pleasure to have you here.
Thank you, thank you.
Congratulations on the album.
Thank you.
Everything. That video was awesome.
Thank you.
Can you tell me a little bit about what inspired that video?
Well, the song, definitely, which in the song is kind of dealing with the inner city in Jamaica and the culture of those communities. You know, where it comes down to, for example, what we call rude boys in Jamaica, or gangster in Jamaica.
Yeah.
Traditionally, these people would have a kind of responsibility to their communities to be the defenders or like the big brothers of their community. So that song is kind of reminding the younger generation coming up now that it's not just about being tough, it's also about the responsibility of taking care of the ones around you, you know?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I kind of wanted to get into the album a little bit, and, you know, there's a lot of themes on it about, yeah, like taking care of the people around you and, you know, the importance of social justice, social activism, and I was wondering if you could tell me kind of about the themes on the album.
Well, it's really all about being human. You know what I mean? And as a human being, it's your nature to care for other humans. That's what really makes the world great, is that all of us bring something to the table and we learn from each other. And what I'm good at, you might not be good at, but what you're good at, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's all really just a human experience in that kind of case. It's not really anything too political or even too thought out, more than just a love for humanity. And within your love for humanity, you're going to check for people, don't care where them come from or, you know, who they are, you know? Yeah.
So, you know, obviously it's been 12 years since your last solo album, and I was wondering if you could, you know, tell me a little bit about the timeline. Obviously, you had tons of awesome stuff going on since then, and, you know, tell me a little bit about the timeline of when did this one come together? When did you really start putting it together?
Well, all right. So after we finished touring the Welcome to Jamrock album, we did about 3 years of touring on that album. I went into the studio to start working on what should have become my next solo album.
Yeah.
So that was around 2008.
Gotcha.
So I went in the studio and we started to do some work, and then shortly after that, the opportunity came up for me to do the project with Nas. And so we put my album on hold to do the project with Nas. And I also did a project with, you know, it's called Super Heavy.
Yeah.
With Mick Jagger, Just Stone, Dave Stewart, A.R. Rahman. It was like a super group of musicians, you know. So we stopped and we did those two projects, and I also produced a lot of tracks for some compilation albums that our family label put out. Set Up Shops, Volume 1, 2, 3, and some production for some other artists that I've been working with, you know. So I've been busy in the studio, but not necessarily working on my solo stuff. So on this album now, it's been about 2.5 years that we've been working on it, and we use a few of the ideas that I had from 2008 has been brought up to speed for this album, along with some new ideas that we've worked on in the last 2.5 years.
So I was wondering if you could tell me a little bit about how did all those collaborations with like Nas, Mick Jagger, Skrillex, like how did those influence the sound? How did that influence, you know, when you went into the studio? Did you learn anything cool from them or anything?
Yeah, definitely. In each experience, you learn something from each one of them. Nas is a man who is a perfectionist. He'll write verses that you'd say, yo, that verse, and he said, no, not that verse, and start again, you know? Working with Super Heavy, I learned a lot about instrumentation. You know what I mean? Touring over the years, I would be on stage and seeing them get ready for the rock groups to come on. And you see the man them have like 20 odd guitars, and you're wondering, why so much guitars? You only need one. When you go into the studio, however, and you listen to the guitars, each guitar have a different sound. Like really unique, distinct, different sounds. So that was something I learned in the process of working on Super Heavy, just about instruments a lot. And even just watching the greats, like even a man like Mick Jagger, as a big man now, and seeing how he's still in love with making music and so energetic in the studio was inspiring, you know?
Yeah.
Skrillex, he reached out to me, so that was really on his doing.
Cool, awesome. Well, you know, I wanted to also ask, okay, so you go into the studio, you've had all these experiences over the last decade, and, you know, what was your vision with this album? What were some of your goals when you went into the studio? What sort of music did you want to make?
Just to make good music. Tell you the truth, leading up, when I started working back on this album, for the first couple of months, I had a little bit of writer's block because I had so much anticipation and wanted, you know, it's been so long that I wanted to make sure this thing was as great as it could be, and for a while that was kind of almost kind of stifling me, you know? So once we got the groove going and just kind of really got into just making music, that's when things started to flow. So I find if you're being creative, if you're thinking, you're not being creative. Being creative is kind of just making new ideas pop up, you know? So that's the best policy.
So when did you find that you were like creating the best, I guess? Like, during your sessions? Would it be like late at night, or were you going in more?
Oh,
like
we
a
don't have.
rigid
We don't
business?
have. Well, listen. The only way you find me in the studio is in the morning. Is if I've been up all night
Gotcha.
into the morning. So you don't have any morning or daytime sessions. It's strictly nighttime session for me.
Awesome.
Yeah.
Awesome. Like, who were you working with on the album? Who were some of your collaborators?
Well, of course, my brother Stephen, who is vocally collaborating on 3 of the songs, and then, of course, as a bigger brother, collaborating on everything, as he always does. I've also a collaboration with an artist named Major Maija,
Gotcha.
who is the son of Bounty Killer, who is a legendary Jamaican dancehall artist. We also collaborated production-wise with Stephen McGregor and Andrew Blacks, who are 2 popular Jamaican producers. And my entourage, my set of musicians who play with me, namely Young Pow, Shia Core, Winter James, Courtney Diedrich, we all do our thing,
Yeah, I mean, the band, it sounds great on there, so
Thank you.
that's awesome. I also wanted to, ask, sorry, just got...
Oh, and I should add to that, I also did some work with Family Man's son, my father's bass player. His youngest, well, not his youngest son, but one of his young sons we did some work with too.
Gotcha. Yeah, so one of the things I really enjoyed hearing on the album was that you actually go and sample some like kind of old school classic reggae artists. You've got, I gotta check my notes here, but yeah, you've got Black Uhuru and, some really cool people. So like, I was kind of wondering, how did you decide to do that, to sample those older artists and kind of have that like lineage, the through line of?
To tell you the truth, I like to sample music that resonates with me, and a lot of the music I sample is music I grew up with. So for example, the Black Uhuru songs I sampled Solidarity. I can literally remember being a kid and hearing that song being played in Jamaica and how it took over the radios when it came out,
Yeah.
Who else did I sample? Dennis Brown. Dennis Brown is one of my favorite vocalists, not just reggae, but just favorite vocalists all out, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And I've sampled his work before, and I'm a big fan of his music. So really, it's just the music I'm a fan of, I sample.
There was also there's a moment on one of the songs where you almost kind of start singing like the Fresh Prince of Bel-Air theme. And I was curious about that.
Yeah. Well, that song is talking about, it's Living It Up is the name of the song. And the song is really dealing with the fact that my father came from the ghetto and I was raised and born uptown, which is a privileged part of town.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So I drew from the Fresh Prince reference because Fresh Prince's whole story is that he's from, the inner city. He's from the slums, and then he went to go live in, Beverly Hills or wherever it was with his family, right?
Yeah.
Right. So that's kind of like, that's why I draw that reference in that song.
So obviously you've got like a lot of other cool stuff going on right now. I wanted to ask about your appearance with Jay-Z and working with Jay-Z on BAM. I mean, that song is crazy. And, can you tell me a little bit about how, I guess you guys go back, you're involved with Tidal, and could you tell me a little bit about, how that song came about?
Yeah, sure. Well, when Welcome to Jam Rock, the song came out, at the time I was a free agent, so to speak. I didn't have a record deal. Yeah. And Jay-Z was interested in signing me at the time to Def Jam. That was the first time actually I had met him. And we kind of, we'd bump into each other over the years and whatnot and have that mutual respect. And then came the opportunity to be a part of Tidal, which I love that, because Tidal really reach out to musicians, which a lot of these other platforms haven't. They haven't really considered the opinions and our feelings as a creative source behind all of the music, And Tidal really embraces the musician, and I love that. So we partnered up a little bit with the Tidal situation. And then realistically, I was going to California to go shoot a video for a song I have called Medication.
Gotcha.
And suddenly I see a text come up on my phone saying, "Hey, it's Jay. I'm out in California. I hear you're coming out. Can you please stop by the studio for a few hours?" And I said, "Sure." And I went by, and he played me. He had the idea for the hook for the song already. He knew what he wanted for the hook. So I did that for him. And then he said, "Okay, can you just freestyle over the beat?" So they played the beat down and looped it out for 15 minutes. I'm just freestyling and just singing all kind of garbage. And then they edited my freestyles and made my verse.
Oh,
so
wow.
it was kind of cool, yeah. Easy
fun.
work.
Yeah. But then you did go to you went to Jamaica, right, for the music video.
So then
that was cool.
Yes. So then he said he would love to have some visuals in support of the music. So he wanted us to go to Jamaica and such forth. So I was actually on tour. I was in Ethiopia at the time and left Ethiopia, went straight to Jamaica, and we linked up in Kingston, and I took him around Trenchtown in Jamaica, which is the community my father grew up as a young man, you know what I mean, and where he really harnessed his musical skills and formed the Wailers and all of that stuff. So we walked around all of that community, and I, spoke to him about the family history, and then we went to Hellshire Beach, which is a popular beach in Jamaica, in Kingston. Great food. And, we hung out for like 2 days, which was cool. Being a fan of his music is cool from a fan perspective, to spend some time with an artist like that where you're a fan of their music,
Yeah, absolutely. So I also wanted to ask about your involvement with the cannabis industry, and your involvement with your company Ocean Grown. Could you tell me a little bit about what you're going for with that? What's your mission?
Well, Ocean Grown Extracts is a company of very hardworking people that we have teamed up with, with our Stony Hill brand, and we have a few ventures that we are doing together. One of them is a strain that we call the Speak Life, which is also a name of the track from one of the tracks on the album.
It's like good synergy.
Yeah, good promotion. So we call the strain Speak Life. So that's a flower that you can actually purchase and smoke the flower. We also have an extract, like an oil that you vape. Not too long after teaming up with these great people from Ocean Grown Extracts came the opportunity to purchase a prison. It's really that they were looking for a place to buy to grow some herb, and the prison came up on the market. And it's just property, So it wasn't a plan to buy a prison, but here comes this prison that's available, and they purchased a prison.
It's in California, right?
It's in California, Coalinga, California. And what a great story that this place that used to lock people up for smoking herb or growing herb or selling herb is now growing herb, and knowing herb. You know what I mean? Sowing herb even, you know what I mean? Yeah, so that's great karma, great redemption. Yeah.
And obviously also, it links in with your song Medication on the album.
Yeah.
So can you just speak a little bit to why you think it's such an important medicinal aid?
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, it cures bad moods. It cures in all reality still though, as it becomes more accepted in different places on earth, you find that there's a lot of research being done.
Yeah.
And what we've seen from this research is that it's really beneficial for a lot of illnesses, not just the expected culprits. So not just cancers we talk about, or glaucoma over the years, but you're talking about Parkinson's, you're talking about Crohn's disease, you're talking about multiple sclerosis, I'm saying it right? Yeah. All of these things, the variety is crazy, and it's helping these people without the dangerous side effects that pharmaceuticals have. You know what I mean? And it's showing great promise. And we just really want to educate people and make people be more aware of that. And especially doctors and scientists and people who can actually do the hard research to inform, the policymakers that, this is a real deal thing,
Absolutely. So kind of just going back to the album a little bit, I wanted to ask, I've read that it's a very personal one for you and that you're covering like a lot of...
Well, all of them, but yeah, this one too.
Yeah. So I was just wondering, what were you speaking about, personally on that album?
Life, my life, and how it affects. Like I said, all of my albums are pretty personal. My music, I make music is based upon really how I feel.
Yes.
About life, about my experience, about the world, about society, about everything I'm experiencing, witnessing, and all of this. So it's not. I don't necessarily make music to be marketed. I make music and then we have to try to figure out how to market it after. You know what I'm saying? It's based upon my feelings. Yeah.
And, I also did want to ask, you had this massive hit with Welcome to Jamrock. And were you ever intimidated about following it up with this album? Like, how do you go in after having such a big hit and kind of, not psych yourself out, I guess? You know what? I mean, I must tell you honestly, a lot of these questions... I think about them when I get asked in an interview about the question. It's not really when I'm in the studio. Excuse me. I'm not thinking about Jamrock. Yeah. I'm thinking about what he's playing some chords. What kind of vibe am I feeling? How you know what I mean? I'm thinking about the next movement more so than trying to dwell on anything else. Absolutely. Yeah. Yeah, and also, I know that you have a documentary coming out, like a mini film about your African tour. Can you tell me a
Yes.
little bit about that and why you wanted to put that out?
Well, it was beautiful. We did a few dates in Africa. We did 6 dates in Africa. We did South Africa, Durban and Johannesburg in South Africa, Nairobi, Kenya. We did Mauritius and Reunion Island, and we also did Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. I've been to Ethiopia before, and once before I went to Ghana also. So it was my first time in Africa. But what was really special to me about this trip was that we were able to string so many dates together, because that's a big challenge.
Yeah.
Most of the time, when artists from my walks of life go to Africa, we play one show and then we leave.
Yeah.
Or you go to one country and then you leave. You know what I mean? And I've always said, well, why can't we tour Africa like how we tour Europe? We go to Europe, we go to France, we go to Italy, we go to Germany, we go to England, we go all over. So it was great to finally be able to string together a bunch of dates in Africa that it wouldn't just be like stop and go. You know what I mean? So I'm very proud of that fact. I really hope that encourages more tours like that.
Oh, okay. And so now you're, in September and October, you're going to be touring the States. Yeah. And what can people expect from your shows? What are you most excited to play? What type of a format is it going to be?
Well, I can't even really say anything more than, obviously, I'll be playing a lot of the new music. When I'm finished here doing promotion for this new album, I'll go home for about a month and we'll go to the rehearsal rooms and start rehearsing what will be the new set. So me, myself, I don't know what to expect as yet, but I hope people enjoy it,
You've got good stuff in store for sure.
Yeah, I hope so.
Cool. All right. Well, I think that we're going to throw it to the audience for some questions.
First of all, maximum respect.
Every time.
Brother.
Every time.
All right. What I wanted to ask is, obviously, as an artist like myself, I have favorite songs that I do or favorite pieces that I do. What's your favorite song off the album and what inspired you to do it?
I don't really have no favorite song in terms of listening or what I enjoy listening to. I have a few songs that I would say have a little bit of kind of sentimental to me. One of them being So a Child May Follow, because it kind of reminds me of when I hear it, I always think about my nephews and nieces who are like in their early 20s, late teens, And also, during the making of that song, I had a very close friend of mine who passed away. And there's a few lines that's subliminally kind of dedicated to that friend. And so every time I hear the song, it kind of reminds me of that, Another one I'm kind of really have a sentimental thing with is also a song called The Struggle Discontinues. Because it's the first time I've really done a track that I would say sounds so reminiscent of my father's music. So it's kind of special in that kind of way to me,
Hi, congratulations on your 4th studio album, Damian.
Thank you.
You're welcome. So some of us were reintroduced to you as a feature on Jay-Z's 444 album for the song Bomb. I know it's a sample of Sister Nancy's classic
Bomb
Bomb
Bomb.
Bomb.
Yeah.
Can you explain to us what does bomb mean, or your interpretation of what she meant?
What she's saying?
Yes.
Well, she's kind of saying what a bomb, like what a uproar, what a calamity, what a, excitement is really kind of what she's saying, you know what I mean? On the track, though, I mean, my part, I'm saying, gangsta now live in a tenement yard. Well, that's the great Jacob Miller and Inner Circle. That's where that come from. How I'm interpreting it on that record, it kind of means that our spirit is too rebellious that we cannot be held in these places. This place is too small for us. This kind of way of thinking is too small for us, Yeah.
All right, thank you.
All right.
Hey,
Well, that was cool.
Hey, Damian. I know you come from a music family and you work with your brother on like 1 or 2 songs. Have you thought about or working, or do you collaborate at all with the rest of your family at all on your music, or want to in the future?
Yeah, we collaborate. Keep in mind, you have a lot of ideas and a lot of things happening that never see the light of day in terms of the public. So you have a lot of collaborations and just fun energy that we do in the studios, hanging out, you know what I'm saying? And of course, when it comes down to family, there's always a possibility. Can I tell you that there's anything, you know, scheduled in a book? No. But, I mean, of course, where there's family, there's always going to be that possibility of us doing things together. Yeah.
Awesome. Well, Damian, thank you so much for coming by and talking with us.
Yeah,
and, you know, Stony Hill, Damian's latest album, it's out tomorrow, and a bunch of cool songs on there. So, you know, go catch it. Go catch him when he's in town for his fall tour. Thank you.
Thank you.